Happy Thursday, everybody, and we're going to do episode 4, which will be the first one of chapter 2 in the Exit Lever series. So, this chapter is called Inflatable Gorillas and a Handshake, and there's a good reason for that you'll come up with by the end of this chapter. This chapter is going to be one video because it's a fairly easy chapter. So, let's say you're going to go buy a house, or you're going to go rent a facility for a wedding, or you're going to go buy a car. Are you going to do that on a handshake and a hope? Are you gonna hope that facility says, yeah, hey, we'll try to keep that available for your event? Or the first person you walk up to on a car lot's like, yeah, man, you give me the money, I'll give you the keys. You wouldn't do that on a handshake, so why would you sell a business on it? See, there's a lot going on in a business sale. There's offers, there's contingencies, there's resolutions. You have to track all of this because it's all legal documents. It all keeps everybody safe. It all keeps the process moving forward, and you don't want to get burned. Now, I got an example of that. We had a restaurant listed a couple of years ago, had it listed up for sale, found a buyer, landlord's going to work with them. We got to write up a new lease, new buyer, new lease. That's pretty much universally how that works. Accepted offer, everything's moving forward. We run into a hitch. We're not going to be able to close on time. Landlord's legal team's working on the document. It's going to take an extra 15 days. Hey, that's not a problem. We got paperwork for that. We get everybody sign it. We kick the closing forward 15 days, and we get it done. Get it all right and get it done. So we got everybody together, talking to seller, talking to buyer. They're like, yeah, it's cool. We agree to it. We don't need to fill anything out. It's all good. Shake hands, walk away. Reach out to the seller, go, hey, we recommend you get this in writing. It's a legally binding document. This deal's contingent on closing at a certain time and contingent on the lease. So let's get this in writing that we're moving. He's like, nah, man, guess that was all right, shakes hand. Nothing I can do. Nothing we can do at that point. If our clients don't want to do something, we can't get signatures. It's 5 minutes of work, and here's what happened. The day after that deal was supposed to originally close, the buyer calls us. Hey man, we didn't close on time. I want my deposit back. This deal's dead. What do? Legally, they're absolutely correct. They didn't sign anything moving the deal. They're well within their rights to do that. We had to return the deposit, and we had to explain it to the seller. So, one document, 5 minutes of work. Can do it over DocuSign, can do it in person. Could have saved that seller his deal. Landlord was upset, they had time and money into it. Seller was upset, they had time and money into it. And you know what, guess what? Karma caught up to that guy. He pulled a couple more shady deals. People found out he went out of business. I would love to be able to do stuff on a handshake. I would love to have that kind of faith in people. But you got to protect yourself. So let's talk about another thing. Most of the time, a bank can't even start working on your deal to buy a business until you have an offer in writing. The reason for this is the financial institutions work in written form for liability purposes. They want to know the terms and everything else exactly in writing so there can be no mistakes made, so there can be no going back on it. Aside from a couple of business brokers that have good working relationships with banks, pre-approvals usually don't happen. A broker can get a business pre-approved, pre-qualified. Says, yes, this is a lendable business, but it still depends on the buyer. But a buyer really can't get pre-approved because the bank doesn't know what terms are. The owner carry, the SBA, the equipment, the assets, all that's got to be in writing. So since finances are done in writing, and I'm telling you guys, you should not do anything verbally, let me ask you a question and hit you a different way with it. You're looking to buy a business. You come up to me. I tell you, yeah, this business is taking home $250,000 in profit every year. Like clockwork, man, been stable. And you don't ask me to prove it. You don't ask the seller to prove it. If you're not getting financials, solid financials from a seller in writing, tax returns, profit and losses, balance sheets, you need that stuff for years. 3 years is usually the required minimum for a good idea of how the business is doing. And some of them you go back 5 or 7. But if you're buying a business and you're not getting that income, that report in writing, it's no good to you. If you're buying that business on a hope and a prayer and a handshake, and it turns out they didn't tell you the truth, there's nothing you can do. You didn't get nothing in writing. You didn't get anything proved. It's called due diligence. Buyers and sellers are both required to do their own due diligence that says ignorance is not an excuse because you should have known. You should have asked somebody, talked to somebody, requested something. It's called due diligence. There's a period in it set up automatically when you're working with a good broker. You make the offer. Here's the contingencies. Let's go through the due diligence. Financials, legal, bank, lease. It's all laid out. Boom, boom, boom. That deal doesn't move forward until every one of them has been cleared in writing. If you don't get it in writing, guess what? It doesn't exist. So, buyer, and seller. Here's another good one for you. When you get that business valued, seller, if you're talking to a broker and they say, yeah, I think I can sell this business for $300,000. Why do they think that? How did they come up with that number? If you're talking to a real estate agent or a lawyer or an accountant and they tell you, yeah, your business is worth this much money. How did they come up with it? Show me in writing how you valued my business like this. What did you use for comparables? Did you use a accepted rule of thumb formula? Accepted rule of thumb. Think about that. Did you use real world metrics? Or what did you do? And this becomes even more important when you get outside the large metro areas. You get outside the cities where there's hardly any sales changing hands, then what are they using for market metrics? How are they coming up with it? That's where you rely on someone that's got access to stuff in writing, data in writing. So that way they can give you a provable valuation of what your business is worth. So always request it in writing. Now, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to give you guys a couple of things to think about. Buyers, write out a framework of what you need, what you want, what questions you have, and what concerns you have when you're looking at buying a business. Sellers, stay on task. If you're working with a broker or a lawyer, don't meet with the buyer without them present. If you say something, if they assume something based on your conversation, that can come around to bite you. If your broker or your lawyer doesn't know what's going on because you didn't include them and you didn't bring them into the process like they're supposed to be, it's on you when everything falls apart. Don't set your people up for failure. Get it in writing. Make sure there's someone present. The third person present will protect you every time. So stay on track, get it in writing. So look guys, avoid liability. Avoid shady deals. Don't see that inflatable fancy gorilla distracting you. Don't shake their hand, give them your money, and walk away. Get everything in writing, keep track of it, and if it can't be proven, if you don't have it in writing, it doesn't exist, so protect yourself. So, this was Chapter 2, Exit Lever. I'll see you guys next week where we're starting on Chapter 3. Have a good one.